and we divide those members statewide into east and west contingents. So using 495 kind of as a divider, we send half the people east and half the people west. I'm assigned to K-9 West. So really, our area in Trooper Elias, who's coming out now, our area spans from 495, from the Mass Rhode Island border to the northern border, all the way west to New York. So at any time, any shift, we can be called anywhere between 495 and Lee, or somewhere out there. We generally work central to the Worcester, Springfield area because it acts kind of as a hub and allows us to get a lot of places in the shortest amount of time. This is Trooper Tom Eliason. That's K-9 Victor with a K, Victor. Victor is a Belgian Malinois who was imported from Holland, and he, I believe, is approximately 4 years old.
Yeah, he'll be 5 this summer.
Okay, so he'll be 5 this summer. What's that, buddy?
Burglars?
Can you get burglars? So I'll tell you what we do. We get burglars. You ruined it. That's the end of the presentation. Thanks for coming.
That's good. Does the dog like sniff out?
Yes. So let me tell you what the dogs do. Right?
Yeah.
The dogs are locating tools. Right? So think of it in the broad sense that the dog is a locating tool. Okay. We cross-train all of our dogs. We don't have the amount of personnel. The state doesn't have the means to work single-purpose dogs, which means a dog that just sniffs explosives or just sniffs narcotics or just searches for cadavers. Our dogs are dual-purpose, meaning they're cross-certified in patrol function, which is tracking, evidence recovery, and handler protection, and then a secondary discipline of detection work. And that detection work can either be narcotics, explosives, or cadaver. Victor is cross-trained in narcotics detection. So the 4 odors K-9 Victor is trained to detect are marijuana, methamphetamine, cocaine, and heroin. And so at any time he can either be called for a detection call or a patrol-related function. Our patrol-related functions are generally probably 75% of the time searching for lost people or searching for somebody that's connected with some sort of crime. I would say the other really 25 to 30% of the time is a narcotics or a secondary type call. K-9 Victor is doing some obedience right now. When we put the dogs through their initial training, it's a 560-hour course of instruction. Comprised of obedience, on and off leash, with hand signals, verbal commands, and then one or the other. Article searches or evidence recovery, which is where the dog is ranges out to find any item with human odor on it. So that could be a screwdriver that was used in a house break, or it could be a knife used in a domestic. It could be a firearm. Not for the gunpowder component, but for the human odor component on the gun. It could be your car keys, it could be my wallet, it could be any item with human odor on it. Our handler protection portion of our training, the dogs are trained to apprehend a suspect. They're trained in control work, which means they let go on command, which is important. And they are trained to recall or turn around if they're sent on a bite and the person is to surrender. We can call them back and nobody's bit. And then the most important function really, as far as I'm concerned, because I know it's the bulk of our calls, is the tracking aspect. Like I said before, the bulk of our calls are for finding people, which we do a lot of. Victor's found a lot of people in all different areas. Suburban environments, urban environments in the city, the more desolate areas in the Berkshires, in the woods, and in the mountains. We find a lot of lost hikers, a lot of autistic children, and a lot of bad guys too. And Victor does a good job. The dogs all live, and that's like usually the most popular question, where do the dogs live? The dogs live at home with the handler. When we take a job or we're offered a spot in the K-9 unit, we're provided with a dog obviously, but also a large kennel, a dog house, a heater for that dog house. So the dogs live fairly comfortably outdoors. I know my dog, I have one of those like indoor-outdoor temperature probes in the dog house. It's like 65 degrees in the dead of winter. He doesn't even usually go in his dog house. He usually sits out in the snow.
So they don't live inside with the family?
They don't live inside with the families. After they retire, a lot of times they come in with the families.
Yeah.
But for our purposes, and just speaking like from the dog training side of the house, the simpler you make things for a dog in his world, the more black or white things are, and the more clear they are to the dog, the better they work. And we have to remember the dog, for our purposes right now, it's a tool. Just like anything else on my belt, the dog is a tool, and he enjoys what he does, right? So if we were to say, hey, K-9 Victor, come on in the house. We're asking now Victor at home, I'm gonna guess at Tom's house, to stay off the countertops.
Yeah.
Right? Stay off the furniture.
Yeah.
Not chase things inside the house. But then the second half of the time we're saying, hey Victor, we gotta do a drug raid. Get up on the countertops.
Right.
Go in the cabinets. Right? So we keep things black or white while the dog's in the working part of his life.
Yeah.
That's fair to everybody that way.
How long are they in service?
That question varies greatly. Some of our dogs go like till they're 11 years old. Other dogs, either because structurally they start to break down, or they have an event during their working career that throws them for a loop. Some dogs retire as early as 6, 7 years old. It all depends on the team, all depends on if the dog can continue to certify. We have, I'm not going to say quite half-half right now. Probably Shepherds and Malinois close to half and half. As we move further chronologically down the line, it seems to be a lot more Belgian Malinois coming in because the German Shepherd as a breed, this is like probably a very contentious topic among German Shepherd people. The working abilities of the German Shepherd, as we see, year after year after year, get watered down, and which, mark my words, 30, 40, 50 years from now, will be the case with the Belgian Malinois as they become more and more popular through the media, movies, et cetera, et cetera. So,
Do you have specialized breeders, or is it, where would you get the dogs?
all of our dogs are imported. In one way or another, they're imports. We don't directly import the dogs. The state doesn't import the dogs. The state works with X amount of vendors, as close to Massachusetts as we can get them, who essentially act as brokers and import the dogs.
Yeah.
And the reason we do that and we don't go to our local guy is because of the high washout rate with our dogs initially. We find, if I go to test dogs with a group of trainers, we may look at 9 dogs and settle on 1. So it's that high. And that one, we may find 3, 4, 6 weeks down the road, okay, there's what's wrong with him. There it is. Sorry, back he goes, and we got to start all over again. So they're imports to answer that.
Do they look for something, are there certain characteristics of the dog?
Yeah, when we test dogs, we're looking for a dog with like an insatiable prey drive, which is the drive to chase things that the dog can see. So a ball on a string, or a tug toy, something that the dog sees. He wants to chase it, and he never stops. Secondary to prey drive, we look for a dog with a high degree of hunt drive. And what hunt drive is really, it's prey drive, but without the sight component. So when that prey item goes away, that dog says, I know it's here, and I'm not stopping until I find it. And if we have a dog that we test that, we've thrown an item in the field and we spin the dog around and we let him go, if he runs out and urinates, or goes and something else catches his attention and he kind of wanders off, well, he's all done, right? So we're looking for the dog that never quits. If we have those two things,